Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's omnipresence is the perfect realization of the absolute truth to be attained through the study of the Vedic literatures. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.35, the Lord is situated within the universe, within the heart of every living entity, and also within the atom. We should understand that whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present, He is present with all His paraphernalia, including His name, form, associates, and servants. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, one should understand that since the Supreme Lord has entered the atom, the living entities are also there. One must accept the inconceivable quality of the Supreme Personality of God, for no one can understand from the material point of view how the Lord is all-pervasive and yet is situated in His own abode, Goloka Vrindavan. Please note what we are reading here, that the Supreme Lord is situated in Goloka and He is pervaded everywhere. We are going to tell something. We are going to discuss more about all of this. This realization is possible if one strictly follows the regulative principles of ashram, brahmachari, grihastha, vanapastha, and sannyasa. Srila Madhvacharya says in this regard, Apravishta sarvaga apravishtastu anubha evam virobho magavam harir eko janaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in its original form has not entered everything, apravishtaha. But in his impersonal form, He has entered, pravishtaha. Thus, He has entered and not entered simultaneously. This is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 4, wherein the Lord says, Maya jatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta mutina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham te swarastitaha. By me, in the unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. The Lord can define Himself. Thus, there is variety in unity. Ekantvam bahutvam. End of the purport, right? The end of the purport, correct? Okay. Om Tyanati Nirandhasya Dhyadam Janashalataya Chakshurun Meditam Yeda Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Prishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurani Vachayini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadhyaya Sadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam bandhum lanvete girim yat kripa tamaham mande Sri Gurum Deenadaranam vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa siddhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So in this period, I'm going to speak about these sub-themes, but they are all connected. The main theme as such that we are having here, and the theme is the characteristics of the ideal disciple. Why? We are going to recap through the verses that we covered over the past week. And this is how the devotee or the disciple in the ashram of this school, how he is going to live in this world. So the first thing, well, let's come to this verse itself. In this verse, it began with Agno Guru Atmanicha. Agni. Agni is a sacrificial fire. And what happens in the sacrificial fire? We pour our oblations into the sacrificial fire. The Supreme Lord, it said, will personally come and accept it. Or else, Agni is the carrier for the offerings we take. Second, And we have a puja is also here. So as for us, in the path of devotion, the carrier of our offerings, it is said that the Supreme Lord accepts our offerings, especially the prasadam that the bhoga that we give through the mouth of his devotees. The Vaishnavas, when they honor him, the Supreme Lord says, I am all the more happy and I am actually eating from the mouth of the Brahmanas and the mouth of the Vaishnavas. So when the word Agni is referred to, it also refers to the devotees. And Supreme Lord here, we have Sri Narasimha Gauranga. When we keep an offering in front of the deity also accepts. So how do we find God in this word? It is an Agni. He is in the deity and he is present in the devotees, the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas also. Not all Brahmanas are Vaishnavas, but even those who are sincerely following the scriptures, who have not developed full faith or Supreme on the aspect of devotion to the Supreme Lord, they are still called as Brahmanas. Everyone is a earthly progress. Nobody can be said that you are complete devotee essence in this material world. So even the Supreme Lord is happy with them too. Because look at how many living entities are there in this world. Out of so many living entities, somebody is giving value to the Vedic scriptures which are coming from this mountain. And the Supreme Lord appreciates that. So, whatever you day, I will take from you. That is the spirit. That is Atma. The next is, how is God present in this world? He is present as a spiritual master. And why is God present as the spiritual master? Many times, because of our conditioned state, we cannot directly speak to God. And therefore, he appears in the form of the spiritual master who has a direct via medium to the Supreme God. Many devotees here are either disciples or are studying disciples of some spiritual master. And you all may be able to relate to this. Sometimes you may have a question, you may have a thought, and you will suddenly find that there may be some devotee who is guiding you, a guru, or some devotee who has given you mantra diksha guru, or or it will be reading a passage in the scripture. It's an acharya and a parampara, like Srila Prabhupada or Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami. As you read that, or as you just speak to them, you feel, I had this doubt in my mind, or I was struggling with this. And immediately they speak about the same thing, or the scripture speaks about the same thing, or they address it in some particular way. That is the Paramatma, the heart. Supreme Lord is present, but he speaks through the mouth of scriptures, speaks through the mouth of the Guru, there's the past acharyas, the devotees guiding us, all of them. That's how God is present in this world. He's not left us, He's there for us. Adna Guru, heart running oneself. The Atma is said to be like a spark of the splendor of the Supreme Lord. Whatever characteristics are there, the Supreme Lord are present even in the individual soul, but to a minute extent. And sometimes you find that to have this rare burst of inspiration, you suddenly feel all the pieces coming together, or when you read the scripture, something a light dawns, or even without anybody telling, you get an idea. Where is it coming from? It is not our ability. It is the Supreme Lord bringing us those abilities. Is the root cause of them. Sometimes we get a strength to test the ways of the Supreme Lord. We get to do things beyond our capabilities. Where is it coming from? The Supreme Lord. And when we see that in others, we should know that the Supreme Lord is functioning through them. When somebody is doing something great, it is not possible for an ordinary human being. We should know that the spark of the splendor of the Supreme Lord is present in him. There's the Shakti of the Supreme Lord present in him. And that's so perfect. And that's a very Agna Guru Bhari. And then comes this big thing called Sarva Bhuta. All living entities. The Supreme Lord is present in all living entities. Let me do so. Oops. Nirupati Prabhu, I think you made a setting change. If you're available, come here, please. I think it. So Agni and then Sarvabhuta, all living entities. When we talk about all living entities, this includes not just devotees, it includes non-devotees, it includes animals, plants, etc. You're seeing the full three things? Only this also. In, in one of the problems we have in this world is to this Sarvabhuta. It is not easy for most of us to see God in all living entities. Why? Sometimes, this is what I'm going to tell here is from Antony, I think it's chapter 29, Kapila Days and Kapila Days instructions. We live, we have different kinds of moods with different kinds of people. Sometimes we have avadnya, we look down upon others. Sometimes we have upeksha. He or she is not good enough for us. We avoid such people. Sometimes we have dvesha. We have an active hatred or envy towards such living entities. And sometimes we have avaman or ninda. We criticize them. And Kapila Deva says, anybody who engages in this kind of activities here, I am not pleased with them. I will not relate myself to such people. And actually, it leads to something else. What does it lead? It leads to when we have any of these qualities, avadnya, upeksha, dvesha, or avamanina, it leads to a superficial religious ostentatious. I chant my rounds, I do my arati, I come to the temple, I wear a dhoti and tilak and uttariya. It's all superficial. Why? Because when one cannot respect Krishna or Vishnu in the hearts of others, devotional service or bhakti becomes a show. Initially, we may want to practice sincerely, but because we are not respecting the Paramatma in the heart of others, we are not valuing Paramatma in the heart of others, the taste for devotional service vanishes gradually. And then gradually we get a taste for something that is external. We gradually like T20 match, India, Pakistan match in cricket. We go back with our childhood memories. What gave us joy in childhood? That particular movie song, that particular movie. Maybe I just like trekking and everything. In fact, trekking is nice, hiking is nice, playing is nice, but chanting is not nice. We comes to that stage. Then our if it progresses further, we like try to say that, oh yeah, I think I can have some more effort, but we can start. The efforts become fruitless. And then there is a disturbance. There's an anxiety. There's a loss of inner peace. Why? Because we feel others don't understand us. We are living in a very unfriendly world. People don't understand us. And as a result, because of our own aggressiveness, we feel nobody likes us. And all of this is happening. Why? Because we are not thinking that Paramatma in the heart of other person can talk to a person, can do something favorable for that person. We forget that aspect. We only think in terms of the Jivatma and not the Paramatma in heart. We don't go to our deities and say, please help me. I have a problem with this devotee. I don't need something bad to this devotee. Or we don't go directly to the devotee or even person and say, I think we can talk about this aspect. We think that somebody is going to pound someone because we just lose sight of the fact of Paramatma in the heart of that person. And finally, if it goes further, it leads to a sense of loss of protection. We see totally abandoned with Krishna. We feel people can jump on me, people can be hostile to me, and I can do nothing. I am helpless. It can happen. All that happens because we do not see God in Sarvabhutam, in all living entities. And one of the ways it manifests in this world with all these sectarian conflicts. One country versus another country. I belong to this religion, you belong to that religion. This is what Prabhupada called as sectarianism. People fight on the basis of religion. People fight on the basis of saying, this is my land, this is your land. And you cannot enter my land. You are white, I am black. And the white and the black people cannot meet each other. All these isms basically do not consider that God is there within the heart of the living entity. Recently, I went to meet my college and school friends. And one of my school friends was telling that he was not a great at studies. He used to sit in the backbench. And our school also had one more boy who joined towards this like eighth standard or something like that. He is an exceptional sportsman who's an exceptional basketball player. And right now he's making great waves as a basketball coach. Is a is an India level basketball coach. But these two, the basketball player also ignored their studies, and this other person also ignored their studies. So let us call one person as person A, and the person who was very good in basketball was the person B. Both of them were sitting in the backbench. Person A was extremely dark in complexion. And so is these last films yesterday, if you can do not like to focus on on studies, it's a distraction for them in general. Life is meant for enjoyment, and studies robs them of the enjoyment. So when this last flips person, they were both sitting, suddenly it was a small classroom, behind you could see a window, and this basketball player, person B, said to person A, look man, the cousins have come here. And he started looking behind. Who is there? Who's the person? There was nobody as such that he could find. He said, yeah, no, yaar illa. It's like, nobody is there. And then this is the person B said, don't you see those rows over there? You are so bad in the pro. The pros are your cousins only. And that fellow got angry like anything. And he remembered it till now. And for a good portion of his life, he was just being called as such a dark combination person, etc. And he said, after whatever, 30 years or something like that, he said, people were very harsh towards me because of my complexion. And at that point, I felt bad. But now I felt really strong person. So some people, when they feel that they are not accepted by others, they feel it helps them to become a strong person. But the process of becoming a strong person, they lose the aspect that the Supreme Lord is there with them. I have to help myself. That is the problem that happens. And in the process of me helping myself, it's so much of the recognition that comes from his bhaktas, the deities, and even from the revelation in the heart that the person will all of us. That is the unwanted side effect of affection. Okay. So this first theme, God in the world that we are getting in this verse is say that we as an Atma, there's a Paramatma in the heart, there's a Guru, there's a deity, and there are the devotees and the people in this world. In general, we can communicate to Paramatma. And the Paramatma can communicate, we may be able to access it from the Paramatma or maybe not. That is why I have a double-sided arrow. Maybe, may not be. But the Paramatma understands probably some things that he says cannot be accessed. And that is why he speaks through the medium of the Guru, through the deities, through the people in this world. There's a very famous example. I'll give two different examples here. One which is from outside of our parampara as such, but it's conforming to the meaning that God is there in the world where people. Srila Rupa Goswami is has descended into this world directly from the spiritual world. And as part of his Leela, he was a minister in the court of a Muslim king. And he used to be uh, very effective in his work, and he used to be very punctual in his work, and also used to do his work very diligently. So one day, he was Rupa Goswami as at this home, which is far away from the capital, which is little away from the capital of this place. Ramgiri. He is little away from Ramgiri capital. The Ramgiri was little away from the place there. So the a messenger from the king, the Nawab, okay, sorry, king, the Sultan is however you call it, came to Rupa Goswami's place and said, the king wants to talk to you. It was late in the evening. And Rupa Goswami said, yes, if my master wants, I have to go now. So they took a palanquin and Rupa Goswami went along with the palanquin, went on the palanquin and they started going towards the king's palace. Gradually it became dark. It started raining and it started pouring heavily. But the guards didn't stop now. The personal service didn't stop because king wanted Rupa Goswami. They had to rush. So they were going in spite of it raining heavily. And when it rains heavily, you cannot see what is outside. There could be serpents walking. There could be thorns on the road. May not have known. And as they're walking this way, they passed by the house of a washerman. And the washerman saw this and said, how attached is this minister? Just for the sake of money, risking his life and risking others' lives, he is just going to the king. Could have just said no. Of course, there could have been some important matter. There could have been a English. The washerman did not know all of that. That I presume. But when Rupa Goswami heard it, he did not think that how come this washerman who doesn't have any worldly knowledge is telling it? He's an ignorant of Rupa Goswami's thought. Krishna is speaking to me through this person. Indeed, I am attached. Now is the time for me to go to Mahaprabhu and to spend my life with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I am not spending my time full time with Krishna selves. Let me do. He knew that Krishna is speaking through that washerman. Somebody who has descended into this world from Golokunda. It's not even like an ordinary sadhaka or somebody who is about to become perfect. Yeah, ever perfect souls. That ever perfect soul is still seeing Krishna in the hearts of others. And that's why it's important that we understand the presence of God in the world. Now I'll give you another example. And I just want this message to go that it is important to honor people of this world and to take the message from people of this world. There was a very famous sage by name His Holiness Chandrasekhar in the Saraswati Swami. He was the head of the Kanchi Kamagoti Shankar Mutt. It's said to be, in some way or other, one of the principal mutts established by Shankaracharya. Some claim it is not, some claim that is okay. That is not our consideration as such. He was also called as Mahapradeva. He was also called as the living god of Kanchi. How many of you have heard about him? Raise your hands. Few have heard. Okay. So this month, this month, this Amakotamot is in Kanchipuram. Little down south is where we have this area of this Kaveri region. It's called the Kumbakonam region. And there are many such villages in this Kumbakonam area. So there was a wealthy Brahmana, and he was also a landlord. And this Brahmana landlord, he did a big yajna because for many years there was no proper rain in that area. So there was the crops were not growing. There was drought in the area. So he felt, well, let me do a big yajna, and I am having so much loss because of my land. And it's not that he had 5 acres, 10 acres. He was a big landlord. Some 200 plus acres he had. So he do this yajna. And when he did this yajna, he called all these brahmanas who were very good in reciting the Rudra. So some of them were called as Ganapadigar. They were reciting the Rudra many times, 11 times, 51 times later. They would recite. So he had called some 11 prominent priests from that area, and they were reciting the Rudra. One among them was a very old person. He was also reciting. Okay. So he did all of this the yajnas and the telling of the chanting of the Rudra, etc. And then he said, I have done all of this. Let me take the Purnahuti and with the result of the Purnahuti, everything, etc. I'll take it in a phantom leaf and give it and go to Haji and give it to the Shankara side. So he went to Haji Guram and said, and he wanted to go there and he wanted to go and tell him, look, I have done this. Please accept it and please bless me that everything should be fine. He didn't get anything. He went, he was in the audience and the Paramasarya, he saw him and he didn't give much importance to this person. And when he didn't give much importance to this person felt aghast. When he himself volunteered and said, I have done this whole yajnam for so many, like many days I did, and finally, this is the prasadam, there is there will be accepted and please bless him. Said, what do you think you are? Yes. He shouted it. What do you think you are? Do you think you are a great person? And this person was shocked. Okay, and this Paramahansa of Kanchi, he had this power to know what was happening in the minds of people. He said, where have you come from? And he said, so and so it is. And he said, why have you come and give me? And he explained all whatever I just told him. And he said, in your list of people was there this particular person called Ganapadigar? Yeah, it's a common word in one sense. Ganapadigar. Was that Ganapadigar present? He said, yes. He said, and sending this Paramacharya said, from the age of 16 or 18, he is now 18 plus. From the age of 16 or 18, he has been reciting the Vedas. He has been reciting the Rudra. It is almost like the Rudra is wrapped in his veins. Do you know that? He said, yes. How did you treat him? Well, I treated him well. No, you did not. And he said, well, did you not scold this Ganapadigar? He said, yeah, actually, what happened was everybody was telling, but mantras, and I had to complete a particular count of the Rudra. But when this old person, he was nodding, he couldn't recite properly, he was closing his eyes, and his mouth used to mutter something, etc. So the Acharya said, you will not understand. He is old and he may not mutter something there, but the Rudra is growing in his ears. He said, okay, I'm sorry. He said, but that is, if you had done that much also, it is okay. You did something else there. Do you know what you did? He said, no. Then he said, when you were serving prasadam at the end, this particular Ganapadigar, he had a liking for sweets. And you were serving sweet powder. It's lot of cashiers. It's lot of patients, everybody. Did you also, what you did to him? When he asked for something extra, you did not give him. Yes, I did not give him. I felt that he has done so much. I mean, like, he sat here, he does not deserve it. So even though he was, this Brahmana was asking, can you give me something? He looked around and as if he did not hear, because he felt he does not deserve. And then finally, this Acharya, he was not there. This Shankaracharya was not there, but he was telling all of this. He said, finally, when it came to giving money, for everybody you gave 11 rupees. I mean, this was like 1970s. 11 rupees was a very big amount those days. It's not a small amount, it is almost equal to 5,000, 10,000 rupees of today. To everybody you gave 11 rupees. 11,000. But to him, you gave only 5 rupees. And he said, yes, I did it. And do you know what happened after that? He asked. You are left. But then there is a deity of Lord Shiva in the temple. Like where this yajna was done in the temple for Lord Shiva. And then in that temple for Lord Shiva, He went this Ganapadigar, he went to that deity of Lord Shiva and said, I come from the neighboring village. The Lord, there also is a deity of Lord Shiva. He's called Vishwanatha. And that Vishwanatha is not different from Kashi Vishwanatha. I have also come here to your temple many times before. And when I've come here, I see you not different from the Vishwanatha of my native village. And so he said, I understand this person has not treated me well today. Why? Because I couldn't open my mouth. I want to say it, but my old age is such that from my mouth it's not coming up properly. And I am a person who has been chanting your Rudra from the age of 80. But look at my pitiable condition. My pitiable condition is that after chanting your name for so many years, at this age of 80, I still am hankering for that sweet. Should I not have had control of my senses? Should I not have had some virakti here? Should I have not had some taste for you? What is the use of my life? He was not offended to that person who did that way. He felt it was my mistake that I have not come up to the mark that is expected for a person who should have practiced to Lord Shiva from the age of 80. So he said that day. He prayed to Lord Shiva, the deity there. He said, from this day onwards, until my death, I promise to you, I will not see any sweet in my life. Not just the sweet pongal, but any sweet in my life, I promise to you. You please help me to follow this path. And then Bhagavacharya said, you have heard the art of such a person to this extent. And he said, and the reason the Bhagavacharya said this, great acharyas do not like other living entities to be heard. It is not that they want protection of themselves. They don't want other living entities to be heard because Supreme Lord God is there in the heart of every other living entity. And when that happened, the Acharya, the landlord said, I'm very sorry, I will go and ask him for forgiveness. Then the Paramahansa said, if you have that prapti, you can ask for that forgiveness. And this landlord did not understand. Okay, what is this prapti? உனக்கு அந்த பிராப்தி இருந்தா அடைக்கல சார். So he said, okay, I'll pray. And then he left and then he went to that native village. Early morning, he went to that native village, that village where the Brahmin Ganapadigar was. So this landlord was one village. The Ganapadigar was another village. In terms of distance, those days it was a huge distance. The distance was 50 kilometers. Those days in bus, it would take 1.5 hours to 2 hours like that. These days, 15 kilometers is the regular commute from in Bangalore. It means nothing. So when he goes to that village, he asks people, where is the house of this Ganapadigar? And then the person looked at him and said, oh, have you come to offer your last respect? And he was shocked, what? That day in the morning, that Ganapadigar had passed on. And then he understood that the Supreme Lord did not even want the Ganapadigar not to give you the sweet. Better being this body, I will give you the sweets already. That's the kind of thing how when I'm saying Lord, some of you might say, is Lord Shiva the Supreme Lord, etc. There are different manifestations of the Supreme Lord. He comes in this different forms. He empowers us different forms of various ways. But in general, the principle is that we have to be very careful of what causes the heart of us. We do not know. We think that somebody is hurt because of one thing. But look at the Ganapadigar. He was not hurt just because that somebody did not give him the sweet from the he felt maybe there's something more in it. Different people take it different. And that is why this is the first thing. There is God in the world. Messages can come from different people. And we have to be open for it. Number one. And we have to be respectful for it. And just in continuation of this is the slide that I have borrowed from a recent presentation on Respect Verismas Ramdan Maharaj. He just summarizes this from Kapila Deva's teachings. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior, and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me, who awaits all creatures as their very self. In other words, dana, mana, maindriya is very important. When we deal with people in this world, we should do dana. That is, we should use our charity to them. Then we should do mana. We should give attention to them. And then maitri, we should be friendly to them. And viewing all to be alike. This, only if somebody does this, one can propitiate the Supreme Lord. And Kapila Dev says, if this is missing, you cannot access. So the training of a disciple is to follow all of this. This is the first big message that is coming up here. Now I'll shift gears. What I'm going to speak now is on the set of previous verses to which we have come. There is one more very important quality of a disciple. And what I'm going to say is not easy for many of us, many of you, many of us as such. But yet, we should know this aspect very well. Why? Some principles seem to be easy, some principles seem to be tough to follow. And those which are tough to follow, we have to hear again and again so that it becomes one with our consciousness and we get the eagerness to follow. What is that principle here? So that's the next theme. The fundamental training of a disciple is avoid close association between man and woman. This is the series of verses that actually comes just prior to this verse. Verse number 8. We hear from the Bhagavatam. If the wife of a spiritual master is young, a young brahmachari should not allow her to care for his hair, massage his body with oil, or bathe him with affection like a mother. Then the verse of the next verse number 9 in this 12th chapter, going this way. Woman is compared to fire, and man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad, if one cannot understand the basic principle of restraining association with man and woman, he or she is to be considered an animal. When you go to the Western world, you see what is called as this PDA, public display of affection. You will see suddenly on the streets, on the road, or railway station, or anywhere else, a boy and a girl going together. They hold hands, they kiss each other, everything. It's normal. Srila Prabhupada also saw that. And he used to say, when a Jivatma is in the body of a dog or a hog, they also do it. And when you are the body of a man, for a woman, you also do it. What is the difference between living like a dog and living in the body of a human being? If all your intent is, I like you, your body, I like you, I like what you do to me, then let's just be together this way. In other words, relating to each other just on the bodily platform and thinking, if I don't satisfy your body, you will not be there for me. And I need something from your body. What is the use? A disciple is the one who knows that I have become a disciple because I want to go beyond bodily considerations. And this is one of the important aspects as such. While this is the theme here, note one important aspect. Sometimes we miss this very easily. The first verse that I quote that I just pasted here. If the wife of the spiritual master is young. Many times we think that a spiritual master is somebody who has to be sannyas. For generations and generations, or centuries and millennia, thousands of years, the guru is not necessarily a sannyas. Mostly the guru is an householder. There are gurus at various levels. There is a guru who is completely perfect in the sense that he has mantra siddhi. He or she will not do anything against what scripture says. His entire, his or her entire motivation is to please the Supreme Lord and please his Acharya. They may get such a person may get the thought of well-being in this world. Why don't you enjoy for this way or that? I'm not saying go to enjoyment. There is a need for enjoyment. I'll come to that later. But such a person, when he is comes to the year of thought class, why don't you enjoy having some nice sumptuous items for yourself? Why don't you enjoy the company of this lady or man? Why don't you try to go to this place and receive some respect? That person will say, I am here to serve my guru, not required. They are very firm in accepting things which are favorable for devotional service and rejecting things which are not favorable for devotional service. And such a person will be also getting reciprocation from the Supreme Lord through the making chance. Such a person has mantra siddhi. Such a person is the person who should ideally be given the mantra diksha. The diksha guru who gives us mantra diksha has to be done. And then such a person trains many people. Not everybody they are thought to his year or her year for that matter. So when they come to, when they train, they are trying their best. They are trying to live as per the teachings of the scriptures. And such persons are sent to different villages and different cities and towns, and they start doing them. And they may be married. But yet, because they know what is the scriptures and the message of the scriptures, they try to live their lives and they try to pass it on without anything for themselves. Such persons are also gurus. In other words, these persons are the Shiksha gurus as such who are trying to live their life. And what the Bhagavatam says is, one should respect not just the Shiksha guru, he's the wife also. Those who are serving, our point is to be a servant of the servant. Here one has to be very careful in even associating with the wife of the spiritual master. So in other words, that there is a notion of the household guru, the Bhagavad. Now, I will come to this same theme. This is theme 2. And there will be the bigger theme 3 also. We'll read verse number 9 as such here. I think it's sorry, not, and it's verse number 10 here. It says, as long as the living entity is not completely self-realized, as long as he is not independent of the misconception of identifying with this body, he cannot be relieved of the conception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman. In other words, note it for certain that most people in this world will be struggling with the attraction between man and woman. It is not something that is going to happen in the stage of youth alone. It is going to be there almost till death. No need. And therefore, we should not feel low about ourselves. Oh, I am having this problem. Or point fingers to others. Look how bad it is. Except Narayana and Rishi in this world, everybody has this problem. And therefore, one should be compassionate to others also. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes, also, before I come to that, in the verse, Narayana verse this. Thus, there's every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is broken. Falling down is not, or stepping away from the Shastric standard is not something that is uncommon. Rising back again is uncommon. The one who has the energy, the motivation to say, I made a mistake, I will try again. That person is brave. And we should always value that person who number one, acknowledges, yes, this is the mistake. Number two, I will try again. The problem that we have in this world is most of us do not even acknowledge. It is a thing that we think that it is normal in this world. Everybody in this world is doing this. I should also go behind this man-woman attraction thing. It is normal. We normalize it. That is what Srila Prabhupada is cautioning us against. And so, Srila Prabhupada writes the commentary of words. Here is another important warning that a man must save himself from the attraction to woman. Until one is self-realized, fully independent of the illusory conception of the material body, the duality of man and woman must undoubtedly continue. But when one is actually self-realized, this distinction ceases. Then we use a warning. No one should think himself perfect and forget the Shastric instruction that one should be very careful about associating even with his daughter, mother, or sister, not to think of other women. So this is the training which we as disciples and continuing the legacy of Srila Prabhupada is that we should be careful of how we deal with these texts here. I am not here to enjoy only although it says. I am here to serve that best. And then something which becomes more important. The Grihastha in verse number 11 is that, however, is given permission by the spiritual master to the inner sense during the period favorable for creation. This is verse number 11. And why am I telling this? I'm giving these things coming back to it because many of the devotees here would at some point in time like to become an initiated disciple, or they're already initiated disciples. And there is a misconception which is quite prevalent in many devotees, which Srila Prabhupada handles the purport. It is sometimes misunderstood that a grihastha, a householder, is permitted to indulge sex at any time. This is the wrong conception of grihastha life. In spiritual life, whether one is the grihastha, vanavastha, sannyasi, or brahmachari, everyone is under the control of the spiritual master. For brahmacharis and sannyasis, there are strong restrictions on sexual indulgence. Likewise, similarly, there are strong restrictions for grihasthas. In other words, getting married is not a license to have uninhibited sex, but as such, what to do? One has to ideally take the permission of the spiritual master. Fine. But what if one still has lots of, one is highly in a mode of passion? That is something that one has to realize, that one has to humbly go to the person who is guiding him or her and say, this is my situation. If the guru accepts, he can give that person a tailor-made solution. Try step 1, step 2, step 3. In other words, this whole purpose of lust in this material world is present primarily to make a person humble and open himself up to his guiding guru to say, I am dependent on you. On my own, I cannot deal with the Supreme Lord's material energy. That is the purpose. It is nothing else. It is to make us humble. It is to make us small. That is what we need to do here. Okay? And it is also come to a very important aspect in a person's life. When a person is in brahmacharya ashram, they have to do everything after taking the permission of the guru. And then the person is in the grihastha life, wants to, here also Srila Prabhupada writes, the grihastha must obtain permission from the spiritual master to observe ritualistic ceremony of Garbhadhana. Then he may approach his wife to beget children. And he says, a brahmana generally remains a brahmachari throughout his entire life. But although some brahmanas become grihasthas in the indulgence life, they do so under the complete control of the spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada writes, there may be kshatriyas, they may have multiple wives. That's why it depends on the nature of the individual, what you want to do. And this is an important training of a disciple. So this, and I'm focusing on this because this is the theme of these set of verses, a training of a disciple. One who has been trained well in the brahmachari ashram can become a good grihastha. And to do all of this training, one has to stay personally and be trained in the ashram. This whole notion that we are having this post-COVID phase, everything happens offline, online, like in the virtual world. It is very tough. Because we show a nice face of ourselves in front of the camera and we hide everything. In the beginning days of the moment, everybody used to stay, the Hare Krishna moment, everybody used to stay in the temple for anywhere between 6 months to 2 years. And while they used to be in the ashram, suddenly they used to be that one new would not, all those past nature would come, he would not follow what is being guided. Everything would come. And then somebody would help you to come. And during that course, they would naturally come to reduce their pride, reduce their stubbornness. Most of the time, our problem is the pride and stubbornness. And why do we have pride? Because we need to have a sense of value of what am I? We are not fully connected to the Supreme Board. And therefore, we have pride in ourselves and we are stubborn. And that get nicely chiseled in the ashram. Unfortunately, we are not delineating this. And therefore, it is imperative upon us to do something that before one becomes a disciple, you should have this like 6 months to 2 year program where you're personally present and somebody is there to chisel us. That is what helps us. Okay. Now I spoke about two major points. The Supreme Lord is present in Agni, Guru, and Sarvabhuta and Atmani. That is one of them. And how we need to value all of them. Yeah. Second is, one should be very careful in associating with the opposite sex and sex life, even in Grihastha, that the ashram is not a free indulgence. This is the training of a disciple. These are some major points. Then there are further aspects of the character of a disciple. And these are the points that what I'm going to speak about. I'll try to finish in 20 minutes because we have presentation coming down. These are points which I'm taking you from the Haribhakti Vilas, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Sri Veda, the Vesikams, Rahasya Prayasaram, and also from the other book is Pillai Gavalacharya's, also on the teachings of Sri Pillai Gavalacharya. From multiple sources I have taken as such. So the reason I'm saying this is, I hope it is helpful for you to know what to do. When something is listed, you can hopefully know what to do. And you can also guide others. All of us are not meant to be disciples for the rest of our lives. Each of us should help others to become good devotees, good disciples. So you get to know what parameters you consider. That's the whole purpose of coming up with this list. So what are some of the other characteristics of a disciple? Number one, actually, if I go with the sequence, it should be number 4, but let me just call it as number 1 for now here. He or she has to renounce independence. When a person goes to even the spiritual master or to some guru and says, these are the things I like in the spiritual life at home. I like to watch movies. I like to see cricket. I like to play cricket. What should I do? How should I step in? And he says, whatever you say, I will do accordingly that way. That is when one is living his life as having renounced independence. That is, one's likes and dislikes become subordinate to what somebody who's guiding us wants. That is this notion of, that is what's a characteristic of a disciple. Second, when a person speaks, he thinks, this is a training that Prabhupada gave all of us. Has my previous acharyas spoken like this? If they have spoken this way, I will follow it. I am not going to add something on my own. I don't have my own intelligence. I am going to speak on the basis of what the previous acharya has said. Next, what is the other expression of intelligence? What is the goal of my life? The people whom I like, these Vaishnavas, these gurus, they have a goal. I don't have an independent goal as such. Their goal is my goal. If their goal is satisfied, then comes my goal. And our greatest example for that is Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada independently wished that to propagate Krishna consciousness in India. His guru wanted Krishna consciousness to be propagated in the West. What did he do? Okay. He tried for some time in India, but then he said, he's not happy. First, my guru's goal has to be satisfied. I will go to the West. He went to the West, then he came back to India and established it on a bigger scale in India. Until he satisfied his guru's order, India preaching did not start much. But he went to the West, India preaching also went that way. Which means our goals, our aspirations are secondary to the guru's aspirations or to the other Vaishnava's aspirations. That is a training that comes in a ashram setting. The other thing is the way Srila Prabhupada made us renounce our independence is what weakens our spiritual life is sense gratification. The moment we say no to sense gratification and we say, I have to wake up early in the morning. why my guru has asked. I like to enter. I want to sleep nicely. But if I lay down and I chant now, I am following what my Acharya has said. That is one way is you are renouncing our independence. Okay. So, in other words, doing services, chanting is a service, waking up is a service. The way other devotees want is way we express our aspect of renouncing independence. Second, a disciple is the one who is eager to hear about spiritual topics, especially with respect to the Sanganga, the Avideya, and the Prayojana. In other words, many people try to become, try to get Diksha for the sake of, if I get Diksha, all the sins will be removed. Or if I get Diksha, I will be able to chant nicely. You are looking at a result as such. But there is a qualification for that. The qualification is uh, there is the mantra aspect of a Diksha and there is a Shishyatva aspect of a Diksha. Many times we go to the mantra aspect alone. That I will get the mantra, I will get perfection. I will, because of this mantra and everything else that happens, all my sins are gone and I'll be free. This is one line. Agreed. It is an important line. A very important line. I agree to it. But one doesn't take initiation to just get a mantra. There is a second aspect that what happens after the mantra? Life after life after life. I don't care whether I am in hell or whether I am in heaven. I want to serve this Guru life after life. And therefore, I want to become a good disciple. So that Shishyatva is important as well. Mantra is an important aspect. Shishyatva is an important aspect. And how can one become a Shishya if one does not have the eagerness? There has to be an eagerness to understand what is my relationship with the devotees of the world? What is my relationship with the God, Sambandha? How to practice it? What happens in the 8th stage? That curiosity, that inquisitiveness should be there. When that inquisitiveness is not present, one cannot sustain it on the long run. That's an important part. Next, an important aspect of a person who is a disciple is he's very restless in this world that how long will I be conditioned by Maya? And others are also conditioned by Maya. There is so much that can be done if we are unconditioned. He or she is very restless in this world. To say it honestly, somebody who says, I have got my mantra diksha. Now God is going to take care of me. Something will happen there. It is like saying, I'll put the full bhara. But the bhara has to be good. The result of who is going to give me liberation is on God. But one should be eager to see what I can do for God, what I can do to make this world better. All that is an important aspect of the person who is a Shishya. Next, it's a very simple thing. One should have reverence to the Guru. And what is this meaning of reverence to the Guru mean? This reverence to the Guru is that the Paramatma is behind every word of what the Guru speaks, which means I have to value everything that the Guru speaks and every no action that he does. It is inspired by the Paramatma. And therefore, my reverence to God, I am in front of somebody who is trying to give me so much. The great example that we have is when the Kumaras went to Vaikunta. They cursed Jaya and Vijaya. And when they cursed Jaya and Vijaya, Lord Vishnu himself personally came over. And when he came over, he told Jaya and Vijaya, you Brahmanas are my very heart. And I consider for you, Mimon is my very heart. And for you, I am willing to cut. If something happens to you, I am willing to cut my own hand. They said that. So a normal person will think, oh my God, Supreme Lord likes me so much. But the Kumaras, they are next level devotees. They understood. Why is the Supreme Lord telling he is ready to cut his own hand? Have I done something wrong? Is it that I have cursed this Jaya and Vijaya? And for the sake of that, for Jaya and Vijaya, be cursed, he says, oh my God. And he's telling me sorry that my own servants have done it, and for that he's cutting his own hand. We have come for him and he's willing to cut himself. So they are so reverent to Supreme Lord. They are very attentive to that level of detail. That's what comes up. If one day when we go to the spiritual world, we have to be attentive to the details. And that comes from the reverence that we cultivate now. Next is Snigdha. He's affectionate Guru. When reverence is present, sometimes we think that it's everything or a matter of plasma of beauty. No, there has to be an affection. And the affection is, he is the one who wishes well for me. And I like him. These are the qualities. Let me do something. Just like a mother naturally likes the child, naturally wants the child to progress, naturally wants to see the best for the child. That is the way the disciple should have the feelings towards Guru. I want you to progress. I want your fame to go further. I want everybody to receive you. That is a kind of affection. And even when the Guru says something wrong, or something which hurts us or something like that, the disciples should think, this is for my welfare. And we should also know that he is able to scold me because he thinks I am this. There is a mamata, mamata. I am his. Mama means mine. For him, I am his. That is why he's scolding me, not otherwise. Why would he scold me? And therefore, that exchange deepens the bond between the guru and the disciple. That is the nature of the affection between the disciple and the spiritual master. Next, the disciple is free from envy. Sometimes we may have our enviousness towards our guru. The guru gives this kind of class. I should also give class with him. The guru quotes so many scriptures. I should also quote so much. The guru walks with a straight gait, with a cane in hand, and then he looks up like this. He looks like this. He looks like that. That is seriousness. No, everybody is giving respect. That way. I should also act in such a way that people are, giving me proper respect and things like that. We are competing, and unfortunately, we end up doing it. I have also seen in the disciples of Srila Prabhupada that they have observing so much that not because of competitiveness or enviousness, just by observing it, they have become well done. For example, they observe Srila Prabhupada so much that when they eat prasadam, they don't talk to anybody. Srila Prabhupada knew that from the scriptures, when one is eating prasadam, this has been tasted by Krishna, and therefore I am with Krishna. And so they don't engage in like there's a Western concept of eating. Dinner time is time when you get to be with your family. The husband of the wife. How has your day been? How are the children with you? It is time to connect between the husband and the wife. Morning to evening, you go to the outside world. Evening dinner time is your connection time. Our Vedic model is not that dinner time or lunch time is a connection time. Lunch is prasada, Krishna is honor, and Krishna. And so they also take it like that. I learned to see some of the new Prabhupada disciples are actually like that. Next, important aspect. A disciple always remembers the favors of his guru towards him. And it is this gratitude to the guru which culminates in gratitude to the Supreme Lord. I have a devotee. I know a devotee very nicely. Very deep devotee. And recently when I met my friends, when I was in the school, I was the first bencher person. I was studying nicely fine. And the last bench people used to think these first bench people, they will not come with us, etc. And now it's so many years have passed after school. We met after 30 years, and etc. And I was just talking to them, joking with them. And there was devotees and that my friends used to say, we thought you are a very serious person. We never knew we could talk with you like this. It's so nice. And then I recollected what made me like this. It's because there were some devotees in my life who brought to me that they became very approachable. And it is in their company that I do learn how to become little of not thinking I am great, I am small. A little I learned from them. And so I told that devotee, I learned from you about all of this. And you know what he said? He said, it's all because of the mercy of my spiritual master. He is a person, I was like a swine. He made me into something valuable. That is the quality of a person who really feels gratitude to his guru. And he did not tell it just because he has his eloquent. That's because he feels from the bottom of his heart, I was wine. My water value I have is because of my guru. And the person who has that deep gratitude that whatever I have found in this is because of this guru, he grows in life. And when we talk about this guru, we have to be a little careful. Many of us think about the guru in this life. Most of you note that the very fact that at a young age, most of you have started practicing means in your previous life also you had practiced. There were gurus in your previous life also. It is because you and I shall say you, me too. We all did not listen to that guru fully. That is why we are born in this world because we have to complete what we have not learned fully. So our thankfulness is not just to the guru of this life and all the other Vaishnavas or people who we meet. It is to all those Vaishnavas whom we have met in the past. And we have to learn from them. They gave us something without even expecting that in this life he is going to come to a particular level. Maybe in this life, maybe next life. They trained us so well because of which after a few years of childhood, we were able to come back and practice devotional service. So we have to be there, thankful to all those gurus as such. And some of you like have the habit of having gratitude for your ancestors, etc. So maybe Mahakal would know it. Mahakal Prabhu would know it. I'm sorry. There is this people who form this part of it's called the Bodhayana people, those who follow the Bodhayana duty. They make it a practice that for every Amavasya, they thank their gurus also. Not just their forefathers, their gurus also. That is the whole reasoning behind this as such. Next, a disciple is one who seeks the help of the Supreme Lord to do that which piece of the Acharya and benefits him. This is a very important point. Why? Is sometimes if people have this question, should I think about my guru or should I think about the Supreme Lord? The disciple thinks about the Supreme Lord and prays to the Supreme Lord to help him serve his guru and serve the Vaishnavas in this world. And in that way, he's connected to the Vaishnavas, he's connected to the guru, he's connected to the Supreme Lord also. And at a mature stage, it naturally leads to attraction for everybody. Attraction for Guru, the Vaishnavas, and the Supreme Lord. It will go very naturally. No need to do anything artificially. And when the Acharya sees that this disciple is fully there in trying to please him, the Acharya's heart overwhelms with love and he is just trying to uplift the disciple. The Acharya does not think that I am an instrument. He continuously praises Supreme Lord. He's doing so much. Please help him. And that's how the relationship between God, Guru, and disciple actually goes well. And a very important aspect of a disciple is that he has to spread the glory of his Guru. And Guru, actually, I have written it as Guru, it is Gurus. One may have multiple Gurus. Every moment we should sing. For the next several generations, the glory of this Guru has to go on in life. How can I do it? One is by owning a character. Maybe I set up institutions. Maybe I set up certain activities. But he should not be forgotten. I will be forgotten, but he should not be forgotten. That is the inner heart of the disciple. Next, he has great regard for the property of his Guru. And we see this in the followers of Srila Prabhupada. They see ISKCON as the property of the Guru. And they try to ensure that things are proper, everything is done properly, the philosophy is done properly, the verse is being understood properly, the worship is done properly, the interactions between devotees are done properly. Why? Because this ISKCON is a property of their Guru. They want to have a proper upkeep of the property of their Srila Prabhupada was their Guru. And this is something we have to carry it forward in our own life. And then the role of a disciple is he guards the spiritual tradition and bestows it on the world. So most of us or some of us are disciples of some gurus. How many of us think that we can get a guru like that again in this life or this world again? It's very tough. They were Those who were the associates of Srila Prabhupada, they came from a different world. Many of them even came from the spiritual world to just help Srila Prabhupada. It's not easy to get it. And you may get one more Acharya or three more such Acharyas later. But until that Acharya comes, it is a role of each and every one of us that we live that particular tradition. We hold those teachings. We don't dilute those teachings and pass it on to the next. This was the same way in which Pillai Gautacharya said, Manavana Mamunigal is going to come. You guard it. You hold it on and then pass it on to him. He is the one who is going to continue this tradition. Either this was said, this happened, this was not tradition. It happens in every tradition. It happened with Jayadita and Vyasatirtha, etc. Each set of successive acharyas end down to it, and the next acharya embellishes further. And therefore, it is our role to hold on to the teachings of our acharyas very, very carefully. I think it's almost time. Just maybe one last thing. As we learn all of the scriptures, at least on there, we should never use Shastra as a means for livelihood. We should not think that after I learn so much of scriptures and I will serve an Acharya, I will get a particular position and respect by which my daily eating, food, clothing, shelter will be taken care of. One should never ever expect money in return for anything that one's done based on Shastra. It just doesn't work that way. One should be willing to give it to give whatever one has received to the worthy, to those who are unworthy. Give them some activities and make them worthy. Make everybody get some sukriti by which they can progress further. Help everybody. But please do not expect anything for oneself. Why? Because we have already received so much from the Guru in the ashrama stage. We do not deserve that. We have already received more than what we deserve. How much more should we ask for? So with this, maybe you can make a note of what I have here, but I should pause here because we have a presentation on the Goshala. So maybe one or two questions here with that. Yes, dear Lalit, there's a mic in front of dear Lalit. Any question? Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Thank you, Stephen. I have two questions though. First question, like when in the class, you just made a statement and then move to the next one. The statement was that not everybody is made to become disciples or something you prove. I should like. You mean you really talked about when I was talking about the Shishyatva and the mantra? Yeah. So everybody goes through different stages and the Guru recognizes it very well. For many people, they need the mantra so that they become purified and then they can actually live in the relationship with the Guru. And some can live in the relationship with the Guru. What Srila Prabhupada wants us is both. But it's up to the capacity of an individual soul. And sometimes chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra helps us to let go of unwanted stuff. And then we actually enter into a relationship with devotees. So that's the way it happens for some. But one should know that that is not the idea. That is what many of us probably are at that stage. But that is not the idea. One should be, the gift that is being given to us is Raganuga Bhakti, following in the footsteps of the Ragatmika devotees. And to become a Raganuga devotee, one has to become a nice follower first. That is what is being given. And my aspirations have to be the same as the aspirations of other brilliant devotees. That is what is being given to us. The whole necessity or for Guru-disciple relationship is to come to that Raganuga stage. Most of us are not ready. So we will take the loan back. But don't short it. Acknowledge where we are and try to move forward. Second question,
So when you come to Krishna consciousness movement, where new is called, and obviously I introduced about Srila Prabhupada and all his teachings, his etc. So there is very strong impression of Srila Prabhupada and we have the case for us to learn. So, but then we have come to the initiation part, and then there are followers of Srila Prabhupada, then we take their teachings or teaching. But some of the impression or the impact of Srila Prabhupada, the stature of the identity at the stakeholder in content of that being lean. So the stature of Srila Prabhupada is so high that sometimes we uh, we struggle to follow the other the follower of Srila Prabhupada that much.
Yes.
And that's where like sometimes Srila Prabhupada get
Yeah.
So how do we address it? I know that this is not right, but
there is a unique process. There is a unique stature of Srila Prabhupada. He is the Acharya for this entire parampara. There is a unique stature for Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, others. They are the Acharya for all, for everybody. And like if you are born in a family, like say for example, you were born in the family of somebody who was a big zamindar, who did something very nice for everybody in his world. And then you have your own father who was born there in that family also. There is a particular respect for the zamindar, and there's a particular value for the zamindar who was like say 3 generations, 5 generations ago, and something for your own father. In that way, one relationship does not need to be at the expense of other relationship. We can have it. What is missing is how do we learn to get into the relationship? Most of the time, we have not spent enough time in hearing that current acharya and relating to the person. And we have not spent time in serving that person. Then we can see how Srila Prabhupada's mercy is flowing through him. How this person is uniquely positioned to give something what I lack. And there is something which Srila Prabhupada can also give the same thing to me. That's why I said Srila Prabhupada speaks through his books. He speaks through his Vani. The Acharya speak through his Vani. And even somebody who's not an Acharya, the devotees around us, they speak to us what Krishna wants. Even a person who is not a devotee speaks to us. The material world can be thought of as somebody else. It is there to trouble me, or it can be thought that it is there to help me. Depending on our perspective, we can have a nice relationship with everybody. In other words, it's a question of building a relationship. Yes, Mahatachi Dimekova. Hare Krishna.
So I have questions when I'm waiting. So one question is that you mentioned that we should not be adding anything to our previous serious teachings.
We should not?
Adding anything.
Unnecessary. Yeah. We should be following their footsteps. Yes.
So what if we get some alienations or we get to know from Shastras, okay, this can be added. So now we have
to cross-check, is there any valid Vaishnava Acharya who has already spoken about it? Number one. Number two, so that's the first and foremost thing that we'll have to see. It's from my we have parampara, I have to see it. If there is somebody in my parampara who has it, great. If not in my parampara, even in other paramparas do they have it? Great. Because there are different perceptions on reality which are simultaneously valid. We have to consider that one aspect. Second, whenever we have these kind of unique realizations, it is an important aspect that I go to some devotee and cross-check with him. And he should understand that Krishna gives his realizations not for me to hoard it with myself, or not for me to show it to 10 different people, look, I have this realization. It is for me to go to this other devotee humbly and ask, is this correct? We often get into the trap of finding value for ourselves. We say, look, I have this understanding. Look, this is unique. All of you look at it. Because in all of that, the sender is me. It is a bad habit that we have got from our conditioned existence. That problem is there. But when we go to a devotee and tell them, it is like saying, I am ready to okay in private to be said I am wrong. And am I on the right path? And more importantly, that devotee may fine tune it. And so we say that I am built upon your mercy, just like the other devotee who said, I am a swine. My spiritual master made me into a devotee. That's the kind of humility that is required. That's so this cross-checking is a very important aspect. And through that, one may realize that yes, it is connected to Shastra in this particular way. That's it. So I'm just reiterating, you brought a very interesting point. Unique realizations should always be cross-checked with other devotees. It should not be hoarded within oneself.
The same process actually, yeah. You couldn't, like we look up to what the guru, okay, my guru is walking like that, my guru is reading books of Shastras.
And we tend to imitate it.
To me, but going back, that it is inspiration.
It is. It could be. It could very well be. It could. You're right. It could be inspiration or imitation. But there's a very thin line between it. And I will give you an example. Srila Prabhupada went, like in London, he went to London and he got the deity of Radha Landadishwara. And when he got, it was in London, he got Radha Landadishwara. And when he went to Detroit, he got the deities in Detroit. He got a whole building there by negotiating very nicely with that person. That's the whole details are there in Lilamrita, and disciples told in both occasions. Yeah, Prabhupada, this was almost like cheating. I mean, like Srila Prabhupada got the Fisher Mansion in Detroit at a very dirt cheap price. It was like millions of dollars, but he paid some thousands of dollars or something, but it was a dirt cheap price. Huh? He showed his skills. And in one occasion, Srila Prabhupada said, I'm a Calcutta boy. And in another occasion, he said, it was his inspiration with Krishna that way. And sometimes when we read these kind of pastimes, we also tend to do something similar. We tend to be oversmart with others and then say, look, I'm doing it for the sake of Krishna. We tend to extract the maximum money from others, tend to extract the maximum service from others and do it. All the while, when we ourselves are not giving 100% of ourselves to Krishna. So this sometimes comes under the case of imitation. The person who's doing it thinks it is inspiration.
How differentiating that thing like?
It takes a lot of maturity. It's a whole new topic, too. It's a whole topic. And unfortunately, we have the presentation on Goshala, but it's a valid question, bro. I'm sorry. Yes, please.
You make the point that behind every action of us, we do Brahma's strength in order to be.
Yes.
So every day in our life, we see that we want to do something, but we are not able to do something else. It can be the material things of our life as well as spiritual stuff, as well as the spiritual things.
Yes.
I want to chant, but I'm not able to chant. I want to do something. It can be.
Yes.
So even behind the, we not following anything of spiritual is that also by the inspiration of Paramatma is not handled.
No. That is Hridaya Daurbagyam. That is so it's mostly because of Hridaya Daurbagyam. It is because of our anarthas and other things. And it is because we are not exercising our free will to serve Krishna all the more.
How to overcome?
Vaishnava Seva. But one thing, Prabhu, I have one request for Rajanath Prabhu. We have with us Vibhav Krishna Prabhu as our senior devotee in this congregation. He has been instrumental for where we are sitting here today because of the efforts that he and many of his other devotees around him did it. For that reason, we are sitting today. I'd like to hear from him, Prabhu, some words of advice on this topic. Prabhu has enshrined in this hour the deepest of realizations. Please correct me, Prabhu, if I have done if I have said some mistake. I'm a small child in front of you. I hope you can correct me. And please add anything else also, Prabhu. It will be for the benefit of everybody who is sitting.
admission, once and admission, bus, and education, place, um, first of all, let me admit I wasn't there for the beginning of the class. I came middle, and my observation of your detail study you also prepared for this class. You did scriptural references from various places. So I have a lot of appreciation back then. It wasn't just, like having a daily class and you come daily back. And you have given instances, you give certain references. So yeah, everybody you learn valid comprehensives. Your knowledge are, I mean, what can we say? You have it on paper, away from, you have any focus and you've given us a nice presentation. But this sort of advance doesn't go in one year. See, I was wondering, because I didn't hear the class on reading, I was wondering within myself if there's a recording I should go and hear this class again. So,
You are the you epitomize this reaches through. When we see when we read such things, it's actually from knowing what we epitomize.
so as I'm thinking this was from your class itself, I have no sip on occasion. Whatever it is, I am in the Zulu of any services because of the mercy of the spiritual message about these societies. Anyways.
Thank you.
Find the because the time and that happened
On that position.
no that
Okay, that's it for now. That's the Bhagavatam key. I got those, the key.
you should be the he should not come up with those keys. So they don't just thank you very much. We know they are living also on the thousands. So today wrong myself how do I so thank you very much for both very detailed structured renouncing our ridiculousness. The most obvious for the most of us. I will request everyone to sit down, please. There are some announcements and most importantly, there is the presentation. Those who are walking out, please sit down. Prashad and Mohan Sorry. So thank you very much for a lot of details about disciple, being eager to hear spiritual topics. Then many things were more of a reminder. If the mind is not communicated, and nobody else will need to be having the easy point and we like guys in the fact that we play in really like points is that I'm sure that Professor beyond the probably rewarding this here that lecture again and not also voice. We need to thank Brown. Lovely ones very While the television set setting is being set up, they was trying to make some regular announcements. Uh, Before we go to the regular announcements, there was this wonderful month, and people are all coming for online. So actually see the rush at Goldati. Somewhere is all of them rushing in the on the action. I was wonderful. Ladies, thanks so to their again. So, as I said last week, celebrations are actually all comparing Mahadis. But Mahadis is such a wonderful. I think the last 15 days, everything has been rushed on nations vision. Okay? Obviously, the latest thing in my regular circle, like special food we have yes. And when we started, so that she thought that he started, then I think it was just a change. I mean, and one day, there was only like 6 or 7 items at 5:45 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, just can you imagine to make close those items, what time they were ordered in the night and started preparation to now and keep those items. So I'm sure we all need to check and government for all those wonderful monkeys who could create rather holiness and be my be all done. So Can you all loudly say Govinda? Govinda! 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 Thank you very much, all about this. So, uh, today's Prashadam, Radha Gopian Circle has made a very humble effort to make some nice prasad because, again, there was a verse or the race is called giving us the Lakshmi. So the rush has been continuing from the whole of Purushottam month. They were like a long list. I would request devotees the whole there Rohit. Keep just to give us this year's. There's a long list today of the sponsors. Here, I request Campbell to through the US Kitchen. So, first and foremost, our dear Mandir Lord Prabhu, this entire family is done one of the co-sponsors because it is Maha's birthday yesterday for all years. That today is yours. Then obviously you need to catch it later also. Okay, after the Prashadam. So, Prabhu, you would like to inform Kavina's Prashadam, can you please move on your son? Then can we also request the okay. Okay, to give that banner. Martage Nasibadas and Subuki Haruimanaji, Another Prabhu, when we call the Lord, but we cannot arrange that. Then we have Sumant Reddy. Where is Sumant Reddy? Please come in. Just for information, Prabhu just again, couple of Sundays back, first time started already chanting and so finally you already given my first Sarah. So please pray for all these souls, wonderful souls. And then we have this family, Shyaman Mataji, Puja Mataji, Nitita. We have that from Mataji Lisa. So wonderful. They also join in wonderful. We also have Vishnupad and Vanshikma. We have them. Then on there, then very grateful only time even now. Okay, Sheila Mataji and so Kuru. We have yes, special to Gisa. This couple will get something like I don't know, so buying it out the laddus or what was that? Rua laddus, yes, and Hare Krishna. And then we have Silabu, Banu Mataji and Dora. Okay, we just try and reach it to the respect. Try to put the ethics again. I mean, how do you want to go? Each one wanted to jump in and get that. This is crucial. One want to be also want to be a part of the national saying. This is happening. Go be your version of the thank you. You know, so, how do you have this names? Gita, yeah. So the other audience, Circle, Sheila, these one. We have the strongest three sisters. They always do kind. They got a lot of management, rights and many other things that you have at least. Yeah, yes. She was. I also seen her doing the wailing right today. General Panic.
ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಇನ್ನು? ಮುಂದೆ ಕೊನೆ.
So, you instead of diamond, not very not other than long,
ಸುಲೋಚನೆ ಚಿನ್ನ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು
give up to say that do other relations to see it. To give up. Indian government and the process. Oh, because that's also, and we wanted to do in that, we were wondering, and it's multi-industry guidance, and then we got such a big rush to finally, be a part of it. That is so beautiful. You know, it's so wonderful. So for all the QRDs who are multi-unit, and then for all the leaders, the senior Vaishnavas, the certain leaders who are very great worship. I think great worship can be done by Vaishnava who there. If some monks have them there here, oh, that's what we think it is a lot of lines there. Okay. So, and then sorry, I've always Samantha Sakshar again. So, for all the people, wonderful leaders of leaders, serious services, can we say all the names? Govinda! 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 So, what the Dharma said today is, they come to the presentation. They all, as you go, actually went to the Goshala, and all the gates. I'm sure they had a nice kind of meeting. So meanwhile, when we had by get to understood what is in the place goes on, and they are now long forward to the presentation. So now the many that is inspired, and what is very dear will God is go, right? So we just hear from them what is the videos and how many even balance are there and any other details about his language. Who's simply to me Arun Smaran okay, and for us, please call him. And yes, it's basically the lot of them is because the only ones who say that not getting that by sure. They all should be able to know, but most of the things I'm not sure how I'm doing it, I'm not understand. What are some you go me you know sounding and the all bird and I got some very good show. So it's okay. Yeah, you want to talk about the good time in the how many other going at me how also it comes out of this? So second, how many have you stay? So you take what the quality of what I want to do being on this. So what I wanted to do there today is like how I the person has become there. So that like you can tell them all of you can go to sit there, do some seva like that. Okay. So those are we these are recent update. Volunteer opportunity is there and what we have a vision for the future on the first one. So many of you know if the two years back they are having goes on there. It is about 55 kilometers from here. About 1.5 hour drive at traffic smart zone. And it has been active for over 6 years. Okay, 6 years. We have all 100,000 bulls there. Okay. So, next slide, please. So there are many caretakers and who are working in the background. Maybe you know, maybe you not know. But Suvindra Prabhu, who has been looking at work of activity since beginning here. Okay. So he's a champion there. there is very much Prabhu. Uh, maybe you know he also does service in the background. He does clients and then he's a retired person. He spends most of the time in goes on there doing that various activities. There is one very Prabhu. Most of you might not know. He is not a devotee yet, but like he is the main person in living in a house 24/7 there. I have some pictures also there. There is Ashley Chaitanya Prabhu who has recently joined our group who looks up how and get there. And many of you know Ratnapaya, they also live there and do for service and come and there. Then there is a new Nepali couple who have come here to do service. So many things are happening there. Now we are expanding some facilities like there is a big ocean. There is like a high-rise fencing that is being done, um, like to protect from wild animals and things like that. Now, like all the whole there is mud, like natural soil. So we have to replenish the soil when they all the different flooring also going on. Those bring up factories are there. So what are the opportunities? So, like we have a lot of requirement of manpower in doing some maintenance there for the facilities there. Now, and it is not just a ocean that we see there. Like there are various areas separated there to put some cows or bulls separated from all, like some naughty cows to separate from whatever. Although we are dealing with them, but like we have so many separate fencing facilities for different cows and who take care of the health and things like that. Now there is some farming activity also going on, like primarily like to grow fodder for the cows and like Harivan Prabhu has also grown some ragi there. So now we are looking at some other farming facilities like where we can grow or get some ragi. These could be used for the cows and things like that. Now, there is also fishing activities that go there. Uh, the thing is, Ravi Keshav Prabhu, again, he has taken like a very basic of teaching the local kids in the real world, and also he also teaches the Bhagavad Gita in a now temple as well. And most of us, we can interested in cleaning also. There are those opportunities you can clean the house. Um, yeah, and that's also. Like some cats, like who unfortunately lost their mother or some million pregnancy after delivery, will be able to give them found it. So now how we so there are facilities like the Goshala is one side surrounded by forest area and one side by the farm. Uh, the land was farm. So, like this is author in a landmark farm, and we live about 3 years. So you see how wonderful they are, like raising the natural way, right? Not with the person like considering here, right? Now, future is there. So we have made things that we thought about how better we can make the social activities there. We want to improve the open trade naturally, right? We want to grow our own product. Now we depend on getting water from outside. We want to take those for drinking for most of the time. Because of the limited manpower, we end up taking our them. So we want to make it more coverage, more friendly. We also want to expect facilities like you should up there. We also want to extract some facilities, having some washrooms, cooking facilities as well, when we can cook our own there. Uh, and some kind of like a village, Christian Peter, there is some kind of a living center. I can show you some names like that and it's all good also there. Now we want to like reason one of the reason is that we want to increase the community participation. So I'm bringing what Gosala activities are there with greater fields already get interested there. And we have to bring reaching a boundary increasing the community participation. Now in reaching programs that definitely right like reaching happens in areas also. So like the realization of is having a mental needs there. Actually, this is taken, this picture is taken during Christian and Master year. We have a small campus but have not campus. So they invite so many students from nearby villages for celebrations there. And then like they give tournament on the south. And we take those kind of opposite.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.